Bryan Johnson, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, author, and full-time Tilda Swinton impersonator. And a few months ago, everyone started talking about him because this is the man spending millions to look like the real-life Nosferatu. He doesn't want to die, and that just makes me want to die even more. From 90-plus day pills, the most restrictive routine you'll ever see, to eerily creepy relationships with his family members, the elderly Timothée Chalamet is a walking red flag. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Eric. I have a stutter, and the concept of living forever becomes really stupid once you get over the excitement of never dying. And if you're not new here, what up? Millionaire, internet celebrity, and the personification of an Amber Alert, Bryan Johnson is the subject of Netflix's latest documentary, Don't Die, The Man Who Wants to Live Forever, and more recently, the star of all my biggest nightmares. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Bryan, you must have a life or be allergic to bull. So I'm here to give you the rundown on this documentary, which has to be the creepiest, most infuriating thing I've ever seen. Because of course, someone would spend millions to see how long humans can live in a country that commoditizes human lives, healthcare, and turns every grift into a profitable business. Now, who is Bryan Johnson? All you need to know about this man is that he is extremely wealthy. He founded a few companies all in the tech and science space, and then one in online payment systems. They acquired Venmo back in 2013, and then he sold his company, becoming a man with too much money and time on his hands. Enough to do whatever he wants. And so he chose to invest in his health. Now, the concept is simple. He wants to test how far the human body can be when it functions optimally. When you give it exactly what it needs to eat, to drink, when you move exactly how much you need to move, when you inject chemicals that rearrange the way that your DNA processes chemicals and shit and ages. And what happens when you scientifically engineer your body to slow down the aging process as much as scientifically possible? You get to look like Ellen DeGeneres' older ginger gay brother. Much of the criticism came from people saying that although he was trying to extend his lifespan as much as possible, he wasn't necessarily living. And what's the point of being alive if you don't get to enjoy life? But rest assured, Bryan tells us that this is exactly how he likes to live life. He's had a life before, you know? Before he was Dracula from a 70s vampire movie, he too was an overweight average American man investing in his business and neglecting all other aspects of life, like his family, his health, his lifestyle. And now he's found the perfect balance to being happy in his own skin. And that's to be a guinea pig for science. Science that isn't necessarily legal, therefore cannot be considered science as much as science is, but is instead an experiment from an eccentric man who simply wants to test the limits of the human condition. And if you believe that, wait until you see the products that he's selling on his website. But he enjoys it, and he gets to look like a lesbian lumberjack who retreated into a small cabin to rethink her veganism and build canoes in the living room. These Silicon Valley guys have way too much time and money on their hands, because what do you mean you're spending your vast wealth to be a lab rat instead of, I don't know, traveling the world, living life, taking up a hobby, doing some charity work to help the lives of people like you claim you're doing right now? Because here's the deal. This is a grift, right? He's a grifter. Sure, some of his discoveries may actually yield fabulous results that change the way we treat diseases and conditions. But if everything he's doing is costing millions, who exactly do we think are going to be the recipients of these scientific discoveries? It's not going to be us. I can't afford half of this shit. He claims to be doing this in the name of science to help humans better understand our anatomy and extend our lifespan. How are you going to do that when healthcare is already a commodity in your country? He's already capitalizing on his discoveries by selling products at astronomical prices on his website. He's funding his wealth off the bank accounts of gullible people who haven't realized that the way to extend our lifespan is to eat the rich. Hell, the CEO shooter, whoever he is, wherever he may be, has done more for the healthcare of Americans than this guy has, at a much lower budget. But I'm also not surprised to see a morbidly wealthy person act like this. Like, there's something very morbid, right, about this kink of wanting all poor people to die off as quickly as possible so you can, I don't know, own all of this or all of that or control the world. What do billionaires think happens when this plan comes to fruition, right? What do they think happens when they effectively kill the middle class and the lower class all starts dying slowly? Because that's where we're headed, right? What do billionaires think life is going to be? Do they not realize that everything fun income they have access to and that they do is possible because we have people that are moderately happy enough to not revolt against the system. And if you start killing them off with poverty, with forced poverty, who is going to be there for you? Are they really trying to populate the world with a few tech bros here and there and then have everything else look like a post-apocalyptic landscape so they can enjoy the view from their bunkers underground? I don't get it. I don't understand the logic of wanting to become a billionaire. What do you mean? Like, you've made enough money. Like, you've earned enough. Stop. There's time to live life. There's shit to do outside, but you're indoors measuring your blood levels every day because you want to know what chemical can make your hair grow slightly faster. This is sick. We always consider these tech bros and billionaires to be smart people because they're supposedly good at making money, but we don't consider that they may just be smart on paper, and in real life they just lack the thing that gives you joy and happiness. They lack something in their brain that lets them feel good about themselves and about the world, because there's no chance in fucking hell that any of these people actually feel good about themselves or the world. How shit does your personality have to be for this to be your only outlet in life? Like, why? How horrible do you have to be as a human being that the only course of action for you and your unsurmountable wealth is to try and hoard more? This is friendless behavior. This is jobless behavior. This is people that have too much time and money on their hands. Like, go see a friend. Go help a friend. Do you have a friend to help? Answer is no. But there's more to this story, so let's start with his upbringing. Bryan Johnson is a former member of the Church of Latter-day Saints. He's a Mormon. And I feel very tempted to make a video about whatever PR campaign for Mormons is happening right now, because the amount of reality TV shows, reality specials, movies that are coming out about Mormon people and the Mormon religion or just characters in the Mormon life is insane. There's the Real Lives of Mormon Wives. There's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They're sold on Salt Lake City. There's that TV special, My Husband's Not Gay. There was Heretic. What is happening that people now have a sudden interest in seeing the lives of more? I'm intrigued. I'm fascinated. I can't get away from them. And the kicker is, most of these shows are actually quite entertaining, which makes me concerned about how dumb we're actually getting. I wasn't a fan of Real Housewives when I had youth and energy, but now that everything is so fucking expensive outside the house, it's so much easier to just turn on your TV and kick back as you see rich ladies go to New Mexico and say, "Hola," unironically. But that's for another video. He was a Mormon, but this is not a pro-Mormon documentary, right? He was very unhappy in his religion, very unhappy in his marriage, so he decided to divorce his wife, sell off his company, and move to LA to become the body double of Jesse Eisenberg. This is where it gets creepy, right? Eventually his son, his oldest son, who is now, I guess, like 20, 21, also left the religion and moved to LA to live with his father. And they got to talking, they got to connecting about their shared distaste for the church and the lifestyle that it was imposed. Imagine these men complaining that they feel like Mormonism is not for them. Imagine how the women in their lives must feel. But anyway, I digress. His son became really fascinated with what his father was doing, so he decided to do the same. He's now following his dad's lifestyle, his dad's routine, to also become the better version of himself. And damn, can someone get these men some girlfriends or boyfriends? A dildo. Something's gotta turn them on, right? Because now they're both creepy and lonely. And not only that, but listen, there is something slightly creepy about this whole thing of like, he's my son, he's gonna do exactly what I do. I'm gonna mold him in my own image, like playing God almost, because this is the last frontier they have to overcome, right? This man is doing everything godlike. He is engineering his body to age very slowly, so now he's turning his son into an equally creepy, much younger photocopy of himself. Ugh. You cannot tell me that you watched this documentary like I did, and you didn't get some weird vibes from these two. Because his son, the way he's talking about his father, the way they've connected, and the way they just finish each other's sentences and complete each other's thoughts and just complement each other so beautifully. If you didn't know that he was talking about his father, he could be talking about a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a partner, a lover, someone he goes to bed with. I'm not implying anything is happening. I'm just saying that it's slightly creepy. But even the way the father talks about their relationship, guys, okay, he starts by talking about his ex-girlfriend, who we'll get to in a second, and how, that relationship failed because they just weren't right for each other, and he has these like social quirks that prevent him from being a normal human. Kind of like Dexter. And he goes from that to talking about how connected he feels with his son, that is his soulmate, sort of. And that's like, okay, listen, I am all for healthy father and son relationships. I really am. But for you to go from talking about how your relationship with your ex-girlfriend failed to talking about how your relationship with your son is the best thing in the world, it just felt like a really weird segue. It's okay. And you may think, oh, Eric, you're being very conservative. There's no problem in father and son showing affection towards each other. I completely agree with you. And if we had stopped here, I'd have been like, you know what? Sure, fine. There's nothing unsavory happening whatsoever. But then they kick it up 5,000 notches. And here's the creepiest part of this entire thing, right? So there was a study that scientists did on mice where they stitched two mice together. It's horrible. And they basically analyzed what happened with the flow, because they even got the two mice to share muscles and arteries and veins. And so the blood was flowing from one mouse to the other and then back again. It sounds gross. And when you think about doing that to humans, like what kind of sadistic psychopathic mind would do that to people, right? Even in the name of science, it's fucking insane. But we do it to rats because we need to find out what happens to the blood. And the results are very interesting because the blood of the young mouse goes into the older mouse, and something happens to the blood of the old mouse that it almost rejuvenates to have the properties of the blood of the young mouse, which means that when you transfer the blood of the young into the blood of the old becomes younger. It reverses the aging effects. Now, I'll give you a moment to imagine what this man wants to do with these discoveries. Wrong. He's obviously not going to stitch himself to his son. That would be stupid. So they go to the next best thing, plasma transfusion. And by transferring the plasma of a younger man into the blood of an older man, you're basically giving very healthy, rejuvenating properties to the older gentleman. So Bryan, our beautiful rock star hero, savior of the day, reached out to his father to offer him a plasma transfusion. What you do is you get some blood off of your subject, then you put it in a centrifuge machine. Is that how you say it? I don't know. It basically separates the blood so that you have the plasma clean to go into the other person. And he offered his plasma to his father. But that's not all. Then Bryan talks to his son about how he's going to help his father, and the more the son hears about it, the more he's like, ooh, that sounds like a great idea. Can I help? So Bryan's son offers his plasma to Bryan, and then Bryan offers his plasma to his dad. And then they're talking about this like it's this generational transfer of plasma that is a way for them to reconnect and help each other. A very intimate act they're partaking in that is bringing them closer. Have you puked yet? I'm sorry, but this is where I draw the line, okay? This is where I draw the line. I don't even know what to say. This is fucking insane. I get that people need like blood transfusions, whatever. Like, sure, scientifically it's not that creepy that you're doing a transfusion but like the way they're talking about it and the way they're just like talking about this being an intimate moment of sharing and reconnecting, and it just sounds like they're all going into a room to they're all gonna bump purses in a bedroom and then call it science. And on top of that, they even go to lengths to talk about how Bryan's father was a bad dad because he struggled with addiction, and his father admits that he was a terrible father. But now that Bryan reaches out, he put everything behind him, let bygones be bygones, and offered up his plasma. He was like, that was the most beautiful thing. Maybe I'm being too dramatic, but this just sounds creepy. Also, straight men are always behind. Like, there's no way for them to catch up to everybody else. In fashion, they're always imitating gays from 30 years ago. And now, in rejuvenating properties of blood, women did it first. Do we not remember the tales of wealthy women who kidnapped young virgins and then hung them up over their bathtub and, bathed in their blood? I don't know, stealing the blood of the young to make yourself younger and live longer. At least women made it evil and men just made it incestuous. And then there's the ex-girlfriend, and they do a very short portion on this story, which I found interesting. I was like, actually, this is the type of background story that we'd like to hear, because it sounds really creepy. But basically, his ex-girlfriend sued him for alleged perverse and abusive behavior and abandoning her after a cancer diagnosis. Damn. And I can't really comment on who was right and who was wrong. I mean, he won the case, but it wouldn't be the first time that we see a very rich man get away with really nasty shit. It's not the first time that we say believe all women, but then we don't believe all women, especially when they are in a perfect situation to be abused without any evidence. So I'm not going to talk about it, but it is another layer of this man sucks to the story. But back to the science, he's got like a team of scientists and medical people checking his blood every day to analyze like his hormone level, his blood level, how fast his hair is growing and his nails are growing, how fast his liver is doing its work, and how fast his digestion is, and everything that he needs to ingest and do in order to almost so that his organs aren't getting older, they're like getting younger and stronger. He's fine-tuning everything that happens in his body. He goes as far as doing gene therapy for anti-aging, which is where they try to alter or modify your genome, your DNA, so that instead of doing A, it starts doing B, or it starts doing extra things on top of what it's already doing, or they're trying to suppress certain actions that happen in your DNA at a molecular level so that the aging process is slowed down. Now, I'm not a scientist and I didn't go to school for math, so I don't know if this works or not, but I do think that a better way to extend our lifespan would be universal healthcare. You would see results instantly. Do you guys understand how unhinged you have to be doing this? At one point, he mentions that all of these efforts have allowed him to reduce the aging rate of his body down to 0.69. And after filming, it's revealed that he's now at 0.64. That means that at 1, you're aging 1 year for every year that passes. Anything above that, and you're aging faster than you should. Everything under that, and you're aging slower than you should. So by aging at a rhythm of 0.69, he's basically aging around like 8 months for every year that passes, which to illustrate the point would mean that, for example, every year that passes, he gets to live 4 months extra at the end of our life. And I just want to know, what exactly is feminine Zac Efron gonna do with all of this free time, huh? Going to all of his friends' funerals? No, because you'd need friends to go to their funerals. I don't like to comment on people's appearances because we never know what they're going through. Fortunately for us, we know exactly what this man is going through, and it looks like it. Like, his body looks like it lost joy. His body's been squeezed out of life itself. Like, Count Orlok has finally revealed himself on camera, his own spin-off of What We Do in the Shadows, which is very fitting because he can't even go in the sun when the UV levels are dangerously high. He can't sunbathe, he can't walk around freely, because imagine that he lives to 90 or 100 and he's like in super tip-top shape, and then he dies. Like, all of those years waste down the drain. So I'm assuming that he's taking precautions to not die in an accident or anything, so he's just living like a hermit. But he's a scientist, so, you know, ignore his company and their inflated prices for extremely purified olive oil. He's made himself the guinea pig for science that no one can afford. And it's a good thing that he looks like Rufus stole Kim Possible's hair. Now listen, all jokes aside, this is clearly the most recent grift for tech bros and Silicon Valley people and BlackRock tech bros and whatever else we love to hate. This is not going to benefit us. This is going to benefit them. And I think it also serves to show that it doesn't matter how much money you have. If you don't have the ability to feel joy and to want to have a life, then it doesn't matter how much money you have. You're just unable to have a good time, go see friends, go travel, go to the Bahamas, get some sun. I was expecting for something a little bit more groundbreaking in his research or his methodology or even his objectives, but after seeing the documentary, you can really see that there's really nothing more behind this other than I want to see what's possible and I have the money to do that. And everyone around him supporting it, thinking that this is going to change science for the better, it's not. Because healthcare, at the end of the day, good healthcare, regardless of where you are, even in countries that have universal healthcare, access to good healthcare that will genuinely extend your lifespan is only accessible to really rich people. The healthcare accessible to most people is the one that will prolong your life. Doesn't mean it's going to be pain-free, doesn't mean it's going to be nice to be alive, it just means that you're going to live a little bit longer. Maybe in more pain, who cares? You're alive, you're paying. So yeah, I'm not holding my breath for any groundbreaking discoveries because unless I win the lottery or unless someone decides to sponsor me and send me millions into my bank account, I'm never going to afford any of this shit. But what I can afford is to sit here in my room by myself and talk shit. And that's what we're doing. And thank you so much for tuning in and lasting this long. If you like this video, consider subscribing, liking, commenting down below, and also click the bell notification so you never miss a future upload from me. I'm also on socials, Instagram, Bluesky, TikTok. All the links are down below in the box. And write some recommendations down below of other documentaries and movies that are wacky that I could watch, because this is life now. And I love making fun of rich people that have no taste or class. So let's keep doing that. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Bye, guys.